Are we live? Yes, we are. Checking a couple settings real quick, guys. Hello, 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 and welcome. Hello. Hi, Burgu. Thank you for coming back to join. How's it going, you guys? Good to see you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you may be. Hello, Renee. I love your name. Oh my goodness, SP, thank you. I didn't even answer any questions yet. You are so welcome. You are so welcome. Thank you so much for joining. Y'all are so sweet. Hey! Hey, guys. Hello, Tasha. Hello, Red Hood. Lane, hey! How's it going? Hello. Hello, Candace. Thank you. Thank you. Oh my, stop it. Y'all are awesome. Y'all are awesome. So I'm just going to give it another minute or so, let people kind of filter in, and then we'll go ahead and dive into some questions. But really quick, just to make sure, can everybody hear me okay? Can everybody see me okay? If somebody can just pop in the chat and let me know before we get started, that would be awesome. Yes and yes. Yes. Okay. Okay, perfect. Oh my God. It feels like Friday today. I don't know why I keep blanking on what day it is. Happy Wednesday. I guess it is still Wednesday. Good, 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 good. Making sure there's no lag. All right. Yeah, another 30 seconds or so, and we'll go ahead and jump into questions. I hope you all are having an awesome day. Sincerely, thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so much for being here. I love having these times with you all. I love being able to answer questions. I eat and breathe in this stuff. This is my life. So again, I love that y'all are here to gain more, to get more information and understanding. It makes me really, really happy to see. Have some questions about revision. Oh, we will talk about revision, no worries. And I do have coming out either Friday or Saturday, should be done and uploaded, a thorough guide to revision. So I did make a video talking about revision, but I've been asked to do, I've been kind of taking the questions that I've been getting most often and making sure that a lot more gets addressed. So it'll be like the definitive guide. The video right now is like an hour and a half long, so I do have to like pare it down a bit or maybe break it up into a couple videos, but yeah. So just a heads up, that is coming. Okay. All right, we got some people in here. More will be coming in and out as we go. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Again, love you all so much. Thank you for taking the time to join me today. Let's see. I'm going to try to get to as many people in order. If I miss you, if I miss your question, like sincerely do apologize. I am trying to get to as much and as many people as possible. All right, where are we? Can you please explain SATs and how to practice imagination and first person point of view? So I have made a couple videos, and I actually specifically when it comes to SATs, I've made I've made two that touch on it, and one is it goes very step by step. I forget the exact title, but if you search for SATs in my channel, it'll pop up. I would definitely recommend checking out that video where I do break down the whole point of SATs and how to do it and how to apply it. But I will say that as far as practicing imagining in first person, there's a couple different exercises that we can do, and that is really practice, like just looking down at your hands, like grab an object and look at it, observe it, try to take in as many of the feelings of it, touch, smell if it has any scent to it, look, and close your eyes and try to replicate what you're seeing by looking down at your hands. Like things that are going to help you to, because we're used to imagining in third person. Most of us are used to doing it in third person. So this sort of helps you to change that mindset a little bit. But yeah, check out that video I made. I go very deep into SATs. I think you should find it very helpful. How do we make something we saw in our imagination come true and with feeling? How do we make something come true? We saw an imagination come true. We don't have to do anything. That is what happens. What we imagine will come to pass. We don't have to like consciously take steps in action for that to happen. If I'm understanding your question correctly, the whole point of the feeling thing, the reason we want to do it with feeling is because that is what is accepted and impressed subconsciously. Recently, I can't help thinking I'm going to be alone forever. And because I believe whatever I assume happens, I believe I will be alone. Please help. Oh, I think, you know, I definitely had moments. I think a lot of people can relate to those moments on this journey. Uh, the fear of being alone. And you know, there's there's going to be peaks and valleys on this journey. There's just no getting around that. As we're getting acclimated to a completely and new and radically different way of thinking, there's going to be moments where we spiral, where we doubt, where we question, where we just get down and out. That's going to happen. It has happened to all of us. Anybody who says otherwise is not being honest. But I think you know, reminding yourself that you are loved, that there is someone in your life who loves you and really cannot picture you out of their life. It's remembering all of the things that do bring you joy, which in the moments where you're sad and you're out and you're battling things, of course that can seem difficult, but just remember that you're not alone. You're not alone. If anything, a lot of people here can probably relate to similar fears and doubts. So if nothing else, know that I love you and that you will get out of this. And this will be something that does come to pass, because you may not see it and you may not know it right now, but you are so much more powerful than you realize. You're going to be okay. If you need to be sad right now, be sad. It's okay, but this will not last. You will rise above it. Much love to you. Sincerely. How to get rid of. My summer is going awesome, Raina. How are you? Change my message. Can I change my SP from being a Playboy narcissist? And how? Can I change my SP from being a Playboy narcissist and how? Ready to give up. Absolutely. Absolutely. You can change anyone from being what they're showing up as. And it's through the perceptions and the stories. It's through what we are assuming and believing about them. And I know based on interactions, based on previous interactions, based on conditions, they are in our mind a certain way. When we see somebody, when we think of somebody, we're going to have an immediate assumption. We're going to have an immediate picture of what that person is, who that person is. But it does not have to be how they show up for us. Like, we don't have to live with that version. If it's a version that is toxic, if it's a version that is bringing harm or doing harm or making you unhappy, then absolutely you do not have to accept that. Do not have to accept that. And you shouldn't. Your last video was gold. It reminded me of The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And I've started rereading it. That is a fantastic book, by the way. I've read it before and I found the law, and it is amazing how it applies as well. Yeah, Eckhart Tolle gets it. He is the real deal. How would you manifest a full-time position with benefits, retirement from a part-time adjunct position? Would you try to manifest a new job posting that's full-time or revise your original part-time offer? How would you manifest a full-time position with benefits? So how would you manifest going from full-time to part-time? Oh, get a full-time offer from a part-time offer. Yes. So you can do either. You can do either. So if it's manifesting a job offer, and you are offered a part-time position when you wanted a full-time position, then yes, you can either imagine an offer from that company, that same position. Maybe instead imagine that they reach out saying, hey, there's a full-time position open now with your name on it if you want it. Or it could be something entirely different. What it is, I would first just recommend getting clear on that aim, whichever it is that you decide to choose. But absolutely you can. I know Neville has said things about death, but I don't think most of it was recorded. So that's why I'm interested in what you know about death as well. Yeah, that. So I am making a series right now, kind of going into the more, what's the word for it? I guess the more not advanced, that's not the right word. The deeper topics, I guess, the more philosophical or subjects like death, consciousness, what is our purpose, why are we here? I mean, the deeper things. I am making a series covering a lot of those topics. It's not at all like most of us have probably grown up to believe. So it is fascinating, absolutely. And Neville did speak on it. He actually spoke on it quite a bit. It's not so much in his books, more so in his lectures. But essentially, I mean, as most people know, Neville was not a believer in death in the physical sense. Like there is, or as in the actual sense, the physical body dies, but who we are cannot die. Like we are immortal beings. Like who we really are is eternal. So death, in the way that we perceive it, in the way that we know it to be, that's not what's really going on. We don't just cease to exist. No, absolutely not. But I do have, I'm working on a series right now to kind of cover more of those because I've actually gotten a lot of requests about things like death, revising death, all of the more deeper topics, I guess, which is going to require a bit of an open mind. Just putting that out there. But if you're here, then you already do have more of an open mind than many others. Hey, Missy, how do I stop getting frustrated with myself when I remember the old story in my head? I'm trying to be strict with my mental diet and I get angry at myself sometimes. I think that's a really I think that's a really common thing that a lot of people go through. And we want to I know it sounds counterintuitive, but we really don't want to get angry at ourselves. I know sometimes we can't help it, but we have to remember that, you know, again, this is all very, very different from how we're used to operating. This is all very, very different from what we've grown up believing. And when we talk about repentance or that radical change of self that comes with this process, it's, you know, it's not always just a straight line up. Going back to the whole peaks and valleys things, there's moments where we stumble. There's moments where we're going to remember things that were not ideal. There's going to be times where we react to the 3D. I mean, we're not going to be perfect at this initially. At least the vast majority are not going to be perfect at this initially because of just how wired and how conditioned we are to a lot of the old way of thinking. So, you know, but it really doesn't serve us to get angry at ourselves either. It really doesn't serve us to beat ourselves up about it. If you remember the old story, if you react to the old story, you know, that's okay. That's okay. It's just what we want to do is just as soon as we're able to, as soon as we catch ourselves doing so, just remember, go to the first principle to be still and remember, be still and know that I am God, and then just move ourselves back. Just redirect the focus, redirect the attention. There's no need to beat ourselves up. Everybody does it. Oh, some super chats. Thank you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, B Lily Cat. And thank you, Lisa. I'm going to get to B Lily first because she was, I believe that she was first. Maybe not. I'm so sorry if I'm. Missy, how can I get past the remorse of manifesting with 2 years with nothing to show for? I feel like I wasted time, never moved on. It's stalemate. Momentum is slowing down and I can't compete for SP. Manifesting with 2 years with nothing to show for. I feel like I wasted time, never move on. Well, momentum is slowing down and I can't well, who are you competing against is my first question. And the second thing is, if, how do I put this? A lot of times if we notice that we've been stuck in these patterns, if we notice that it's been, oh, almost knocked my mic over. If we notice that it's been a quote unquote long time and we're not seeing movement and we're not noticing anything, it's never a bad thing to do some observation, to really do some observation and reflection on what we are doing. Like truly, what are we thinking? What are our reactions? What are we doing? Because here's the thing. We're on autopilot so much, so often, that we may think that we're living in the end. We may genuinely, truly think that we're doing this right, that we're applying this right. But if you take a moment to really, really be aware of what you are doing throughout your day to day, you're going to find that there's contradictions going on. Maybe you are looking to the 3D. Maybe you are having those internal dialogues that are not ideal. Maybe, I certainly did this. I was certainly doing this. And it happens to a lot of us. It happens to the best of us. Because again, we're so ingrained, it's so deeply ingrained to act and do things in a certain manner. To these beliefs are so deeply ingrained in us that we just do. We're just doing on autopilot. We're just not even thinking about it. And so it's really easy to not be aware when we're being double-minded. So I understand the frustration completely. I've been there. I've been there. But going back to the first principle and going back to the observation, going back to awareness, that is always, 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 always what we want to do. Lisa Watts says, and thank you for the super chat, both of you, B. Lily and Lisa. How would you affirm to fix a relationship with two people, my ex and someone else, skin issues, and a job situation all at once? So, so basically, how do we manifest for multiple desires, multiple things at once? And there's a couple different ways that you can do that. I mean, if you want to, if your go-to is something like visualizing, you can always create scenes that would imply all of these things. You can create a scene where each of these aspects are implied. Or, and this is my personal go-to, something like the lullaby method. And I made a video, for those of you who may not be familiar with the lullaby method, I did make a video talking about it. It's also called the Isn't It Wonderful technique. But in essence, you capture the feeling of if you had all of your desires, if you had everything that you wanted, if you had everything that you desired, if you can capture that into a single feeling, what would that feeling be? What would that feel like? Like, so for example, state of gratitude. You'd probably feel satisfied, maybe relieved, loved, abundant, whatever it may be. But if you think about what all of this, or what it would be like in that perfect world, it would probably, you would probably be feeling a deep sense of gratitude, right? That implies that you have been blessed. So this is how things have to appear in many different areas of your life. So if you have multiple things that you desire to manifest, yes, you can affirm for each one, you can visualize for each one, but I personally find it much simpler and more natural to use something like the lullaby method. Isn't it wonderful? That's just my 2 cents. IK says, is there a way to ask our subconscious mind what is blocking us from getting our goal /SP? And this is kind of what I was referring to earlier. That self-observation. I mean, absolutely, you can meditate on just becoming aware of what is going on, like meditate on becoming enlightened to what is potentially getting in your way. Yes. But just taking some time to be very, very clear on what it is that we're doing. Because again, that goes back to a lot of us are very much asleep in the sense that we're doing things without realizing that we're doing them. So awareness and self-observation are key here. Hello, Juan. Hello. I made a lot of progress with revision, mainly with old text you send me. I guess I wasn't actually absorbing. I just want to say thank you. I feel great. Ah, yeah. That is wonderful to hear. That made my day. Good. I am so glad. It everything will click into place. Event like it will for everyone. That I promise. Thug Muffin. I love your name. That's adorable. I love it. Thug Muffin says, I've been trying to manifest something for almost a year and still haven't seen any results. Can you give me any pointers on what I'm doing wrong? Thank you. Now, this can tie in again. If we're not sure why things are not happening, if we're genuinely confused as to what may be going on, really pay attention to what is going on through your mind throughout the day. Like, really be in observer mode. Become like, make it a point to be more aware. Are you noticing those feelings of fear or doubt? Are you noticing those thoughts as they pop up? Maybe those whispers in the back of your mind that this isn't real, this isn't going to happen. Are you having internal fighting? Are you getting caught up in anger? Are you feeling like you want to explode on something? Is there anything that is causing that double mindedness? Because it boils down to double mindedness. If things are not happening, it's because we are double minded, period. Period, period. So it's becoming aware of what it is that is causing the double mindedness, what we are doing, so that we can ultimately fix that, that we can change course, so that we have a better understanding of where things may need to be adjusted or improved when it comes to our practice, when it comes to applying these teachings. I hope that makes sense. I seriously love your name, by the way. You are so welcome, Rena. You are so welcome. I don't want to. If we're manifesting hot and cold behavior, that is directly a reflection of the hot and cold behavior within us. Everything is a reflection of us, literally, quite literally. So if somebody is showing up in our life as hot and cold, you can guarantee that it's because our behavior is hot and cold. Like, we are having, maybe we're going back and forth between feeling very confident, very loving, committed, knowing that this is all going to work out, knowing that everything's going to be okay, to next minute scared, doubt, anger, frustration. Is it going to happen? Am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong? Are they going to leave me? Like, and we bounce back and forth between those two states of consciousness. So if we're doing that, you can probably already guess how that reflection is going to look like. Hey, Miriam. Hey. It's good to see you. I actually am literally in the middle of writing you an email right now. I will talk to you very soon. Thank you for jumping in. I just can't forgive myself for failing these 2 years. Well, I mean, it is absolutely frustrating, and I don't want to dismiss what you're feeling and going through, because yeah, it's easy to get sucked up into those feelings of frustration and failure and beating ourselves up over it. But I guess ask yourself, how is that serving you? No, really, how is that serving you? What good does it do? What purpose does it serve? How is it helping you? And then if the answer is it's not, then ask yourself, well, how can we look at this from a different perspective then. Like, how can we learn from this? How can we grow from this? Because there's always the ability to do that. Always. Sincerely. And forgiveness is a huge thing when it comes to conscious creation, by the way. And this goes to everyone watching this. If there are things that we cannot let go of, if we are harboring resentment either to ourselves or others, it's going to cause challenges. It is going to cause challenges, especially in the context of a specific person. You know, forgiveness of ourselves is needed here. Hey, John. I don't ask my SP to hang out, even though I want to, but she preempts it by giving me ridiculously laughable, over the top excuses. What's that all about? The excuses? Well, what are the ways in which the responses are to that? See, we need to stop looking at like their behavior unless we need to stop looking at dissecting their behavior and trying to figure out what they're doing and like look at it from this perspective of what am I doing? And if we look, we'll see it. We will see it, but we have to be able to notice that first. So what are we assuming about this person? Are we assuming that they're flaky? Are we assuming that they're always coming up with ridiculous excuses? Are we assuming that they're always blowing us off? Like look to the assumptions that we're carrying every time. We may think that we're forming those assumptions because of their behavior, but that's quite literally backwards. Looking forward to the future videos about death and revising death. It is a really fascinating topic. Can you say what happens after death briefly now? Yeah, absolutely. What I can say is that we don't die in the sense that we cease to exist. We wake up in, it could be a different place. It might be the same place. We might be occupying the same body. We may look the same, but way younger. It might be 2 years from now. It might be 1,000 years from now. But there is a purpose to all of this. And I am going to get more into that in that video series. I'm actively working on that right now. And I guess to sum it up in as simple terms as I can, like oversimplify it, the whole point of this, the whole purpose of this life, this experience, and why we're here doing what we're doing is because we're discovering ourselves again. Like the purpose is to have greater and grander experiences up till and until when we awaken, until we remember who we are, until we awaken to the fact that we are God and we have that remembering. So yeah, we don't die, we don't just disintegrate into dust, we don't cease to be, none of that. No. Hey, Missy. When some desires appear daunting when attempting to imagine the end, what's your take on manifesting in steps? Can you differentiate? I can't say that word. I can't say differentiate. Differentiate from messing with the middle. So, the difference between manifesting in steps and messing with the middle. Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for joining, Kim. It's good to see you. I know it's late over there, so I appreciate you coming in. Mhm. So, messing with the middle is the same as conditioning your desire. And by conditioning the desire, it means basically that when we think and assume that certain things have to be met, certain criteria need to be met, conditions need to happen before we can have it come to pass. So, trying to figure out the how and all the things that need to happen before we can manifest them. So for example, let's say is with a third party right now. Well, crap, there was somebody else. So I need to, manifest them breaking up first, or I need to, imagine that he's telling me that they broke up first, or, how is this going to happen? Anything that, or, I need to lose a bunch of weight first before I can manifest them back. Like, don't focus on those things. Don't condition the desire. Don't think that you need to do this in order for this to happen. Like, like consciously taking conscious action. It doesn't work like that. Manifesting in steps. Now, there can be a little bit of a fine line if we're not careful, but if it feels like too much of a stretch to go all the way to the end, like from where you are now to whatever that may be, whether that's marriage with your person or a successful multi-million dollar business, if it feels like too much of a jump, then yeah, like play with something that may seem like an obvious course, like something obvious on the bridge along the way. So imagine that you two are dating again. Imagine that you two are talking again. But what we want to be careful of, and this is important, we want to be careful of is that when we get to that bridge and that is coming to pass, that we don't then just kind of stall out and revert back to the old way of thinking. Like, if we imagine that we're going on dates again, everything is moving again, then keep taking it further. Like, we want to keep putting it further. Now, it is preferred to go to the end. There's no mincing that. But if we're struggling too much, if it seems too far outside the scope of reason, we can't suspend that disbelief, then take it in smaller steps. But just remember that, you know, keep moving it forward. Don't bring in elements of that past. Don't bring in elements of what happened, or anything that could potentially get us spiraling in that state of fear and doubt. So basically, we don't want to condition anything. There are no conditions that need to be met to see our manifestation come to pass. But if we find that going straight to the end from where we are now doesn't, like, there's too much resistance there, we can't buy it, it's too much of a struggle, then you can take it in smaller, more reasonable bites that resonate more with you. But don't let yourself get stuck there either. If that makes sense. Why did Neville never dress about limiting beliefs? Yeah, he did. Yeah, yeah, he did. I mean, he said all the time that man is a creature of habit, that we run on clockwork, we tend to do the same things over and over again because of how we're conditioned. He may not have specifically called them limiting beliefs by name, but he certainly talked about that we are pattern creatures. Like, we get stuck in patterns a lot, and those patterns are stemming from the things that we assume and believe is true. Yeah, Neville talked about that a lot. Tasha says, I've manifested a great job, dream car, and apartment, but struggle with love. Two guys are into me and say what I want to hear, but I can't seem to manifest my SP who blocked me 8 months ago. Suggestions. So, yeah, absolutely. When it comes to your SP, it's likely the story that's probably getting in the way of that. When we recall, when we remember maybe things that were not ideal that happened, when we get angry at them, when we curse their existence sometimes, and it's okay, that's fair. But it doesn't really help us in that sense. If it's not, if there is no negative story, anything behind it, then it may be something that you hold about love, like a general concept, a general assumption or belief about love. Maybe it's that, you know, I'm never chosen. I'm always second best. Guys always say that they want to be with me and then they leave again. Whatever it might be. Find out what that is. We can find what that is when it comes to the beliefs and assumptions that we're carrying around love. What are the stories that we are subscribing to? Because they are just that. They are stories that we're telling ourselves and that we are believing, essentially. So, observe anything that you notice that you're telling yourself throughout the day when it comes to your SP. Note the feelings that come up when you think about SP. Note the story and the things that happened. And if it's not, if it is not the same as the desired state, then revise it. Revise these old stories. Wipe them off the face of the earth. We don't want any of that anyways. We don't want to recreate circumstances based on that old story. I must have missed that, Burku. I did not see your super chat text. Hang on, let me go back. Oh, okay, sorry, Burku. I'm so sorry I missed that. Also, I got cold of my SP after questioning if it's love or fear, but I don't want to get cold because if it's an endless cycle with each new SP, what should I do? Well, if you're noticing cycles, if you're noticing patterns, that's an important thing to note because that's directly pointing to beliefs and assumptions that you're carrying about relationships in general. So you want to be aware of those. You want to at least have an understanding of what those beliefs are that you're carrying around relationships. Now, as far as the questioning about love or fear, because I talked about this on my last live, and I want to be clear about something. Like, yes, we should always be asking yourself, whatever comes up for us, like, is this stemming from a place of love or fear? Just so we're aware of it. But we don't have to keep subscribing to fear-based beliefs and assumptions. We don't have to keep subscribing to it. We can choose love. We can always choose to approach this from a place of love and understanding and compassion. We don't have to keep subscribing and putting ourselves and accepting fear. This is I say all that to say be aware of what, when you have the urge to do something, when you're feeling pulled to do something, when you're feeling inspired, is it coming from a place of love or fear? And that's just so you can be aware of it. However, you don't have to keep subscribing to the fear-based one. Like you can change. So, for example, with your SP, even if it has been up until this point coming from a place of fear, if this desire has been coming from a place of fear, you don't have to keep doing that. You can change that perception. You can change it. You can change the story with SP so that you're now coming from a state of love because you're the creator and you can do literally anything. So I hope that helps. I hope that clears up the question. Mina! Hello, Mina. How are you? It is good to see you. Thank you for coming in. When I am imagining, I am feeling the naturalness, but as soon as I stop imagining, that feeling goes away. Advice on how to maintain it even when not actively imagining. Recall it. Recall it. So, have you guys ever had a really amazing dream? Like you woke up and you had like the most awesome dream ever and it stayed with you that day and it totally made your whole day that much better? Like waking up on the right side of the bed, I guess, for lack of better words. Yeah, it's similar to that. So, if you notice that as soon as you come out of that imaginal act, like you're kind of sucked right back into this 3D realm and all the crap with it, recall that feeling. Like bring it back up. Like go back and remember what it felt like. Just like we would with a memory. Because an imaginal act and a memory are the same thing, basically. Basically the same thing. So bring it back up. Even if it's just as like, God, I remember how good that felt. That felt amazing. That was so nice. That was so needed. That was exactly what helped put me on the right path again. So ways like that. We don't want to just imagine and then the rest of the day kind of go back and subscribe to the 3D and accept all the 3D circumstances and bullshit that comes with it. No. Go back there. Remember it. Remember it. And the more that you practice doing this, it does stay with you. It does begin to you take it with you outside of the imagination, you carry it with you throughout the day. With practice, you do begin to feel it outside in the 3D more and more and more. I hope that helps. I love you too, Miriam. Bye. How to become an all new person and be a master at manifesting. I love that attitude. I love that attitude. It's a lot. I don't want to say that. How to become an all new person. Well, knowing what you know with the fundamentals, with the tools that you have, we know that this is all imagination. We know that every version of us, every single version that could possibly exist already does. And to experience it in the physical reality, in the physical world, we live there in imagination first. So, what would that perfect version look like? What would they feel like? What would they be thinking? What would they be doing? Like, get as detailed and descriptive as possible with that master manifester, that perfect God state. Shouldn't even say God state, but that who that person is and what it looks like, what it feels like, and wear that suit. Wear that garment. Ooh, this is a good one. Would you say that new thoughts come automatically when you changed your state? Or, in other words, is thinking from automatic? I find myself still thinking from my old state out of habit. Yes. Yeah, so that's important. Your state of consciousness comes with not only the physical manifestations. It's not just the physical 3D things. It's the thoughts, it's the feeling, it's all of the things that are internal as well. So from a new dominant state of consciousness, you're not going to be having the same thoughts, the same automatic thoughts that come up. Not at all. And if any old thoughts do pop up, you're going to be so far removed from them. They're not going to feel real to you anymore. So, yeah, that is a good indication. Like when you are in that new state, when you are dwelling and taking on that new state as your new dwelling place, as your new home base, you're not going to be thinking those same thoughts and those same reactions. But if those thoughts were to come up, you're not going to respond to them. That they're going to feel very alien to you. So yes, absolutely. If you're noticing old things coming up just out of habit, that again, that can happen sometimes, but we should feel much farther removed from it than where we were, if that makes sense. Yeah, awesome question. Also a good way to find out which state you are actually dwelling in. What are your thoughts? What are your reactions? What's coming up for you? Good, Mina. I'm looking forward to talking to you again soon. You have been killing it lately. SB, I loved your Oregon trip story. Holy cow, that was amazing. That was amazing. I will not climb a ladder. That's right. Can you revise death or switch to a parallel reality where that person is alive? Yes. Now, now I am gonna like wait till the video because I know that is a lot of people might have a hard time really suspending the disbelief for that one, and understandably so. But in short, yes, and that video is coming out soon. All right. All right, so I got time for maybe one or two more. Unfortunately, like I said, I would stay here all day if I could. Hello, greetings from Kenya. How can I manifest visiting my boyfriend for a summer in another country? If it's a country that you've been to before, take all of the tones that you remember. Like, so recall what it looked like, what it felt like. Was it hot? Was it humid? Was it cold? Was it dry? What were the scenes like? What did the trees look like? Like, just take in from memory what all of that looked like and replicate that in imagination. Replicate it so that you can go there, like actually go there. Because, and this is an important thing to note, when we're imagining, when we're doing sats, we're not thinking of something that is going to happen. We're thinking from it. Like we are going there in imagination in real time right now. So, as many things that we can do to kind of create as much of a life like and realistic picture of that, the better. Now, if we can't get a super clear, freakishly fantastic photo of it in our mind, just to the best of our ability, just a scene that implies that you two are spending the summer together in his country, whatever that looks like to you, and then go there, like in imagination, go there in imagination as if you were going there in real life. Like you're not thinking about it for the future. It's happening right now. You are so welcome. If you have been manifesting something for 2 years, you're doing it wrong, correct? I would not, that's a very broad stroke. Um, it depends on what I guess it is that you're trying to do. Like, if you're, like, say, for example, Neville's brother, Victor, you know, his desire was to build like an empire, a very successful business. And of course, that bridge of incidents took years. And there was many gaps in time where there was nothing happening. So in that case, no, he was not doing it wrong or failing at it. It's, if it feels like it's been a significant amount of time and you have not noticed any movement, nothing's changed, it feels like everything is still the same, I would just really up the observation, like really pay attention to what we're doing. Like really, 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 like, I know we might think we are, but we're a lot more stuck on that autopilot mode than most of us realize. Yeah. So just do some self-inquiry, do some observation of, you know, notice anything that is contrary to the desired outcome. Notice anything that's showing up throughout the day that is opposite of what you want, whether that's looking to the 3D, doubting, getting mad at them in our mind, mental fighting, any of that. Be aware of it. Are we being double minded? Because a lot of times we are and we just don't realize it. Okay. All right, last question, guys. Can you give an example scene that would manifest a life of financial freedom without working? Absolutely. So there's many different ways that you can go about this. You can imagine, you know, being on vacation, you know, living in a nice house somewhere, or, traveling around the world somewhere. You can imagine seeing your bank account and just feeling that gratitude of like, this is incredible. I never have to work a day again in my life. I have more than enough money. It feels so good to be retired. That however that looks, this is where we get to get creative. This is where the creative power of our imagination comes in. So, ask yourself, what would you be doing if you were now retired? If you had all the financial abundance, money was never an issue for you ever again, what would you be doing? What would life look like? Would you be traveling? Would you be starting up a nonprofit? Would you be taking up new hobbies? Would you be taking up new interests, learning an instrument, learning new things? Like, what would that look like for you? And with those details, begin to really paint that bigger picture. Because we absolutely don't need a job to make money. That's no. Like, people literally make money in their sleep. Like, it's absolutely doable. And that's another thing to kind of remember and tell yourself too, as you're doing this. Like, I don't need to work hard, work at a job to make money. No. But what does that look like for you? In that state where you are retired, what are you doing? What does the day in the life look like? And just build on it from there. You are so welcome. Sitting on the beach is fun for about 3 weeks and then it gets old. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. You probably are going to take up a lot of hobbies and find things to do with your time. Yeah. You are so welcome. Y'all so welcome. Y'all have been wonderful. I hate that an hour has already gone by. That feels so quick. Time is dumb. It's an illusion anyways. But thank you guys so much again for joining me. I will be back next week for more Q&As. I love doing this. Y'all are awesome. I love you sincerely. Until next time, everybody have an awesome, awesome, awesome rest of your day, okay? Take care, y'all.